If you track the media habits of the average person today, they spend most of their time moving a thumb upward, discarding video after video. We generally accept this rapid-fire feed as disposable noise. It is engineered to deliver an immediate, transient hit of dopamine, designed to hold your attention for 15 seconds and vanish from your memory the moment you scroll past. But look past the choreographed dances and automated voiceovers, and you'll find a distinct class of creators. They are working in this exact format to produce devastating, highly crafted pieces of film. They are taking a platform built by tech executives specifically to fracture our attention spans and weaponizing those mechanical constraints to build stories that lodge themselves in your brain for days. In traditional filmmaking, resonance is the weight you feel when the credits roll. It is the emotional echo of a story that takes 2 hours to patiently layer its themes and characters. Analytical, vertical video is structurally hostile to that type of patience. The entire interface is built around a physical gesture, the swipe, that encourages you to abandon the narrative the millisecond you feel bored. To understand how any emotional weight survives in this environment, we have to look at the exact physical and temporal limits forced onto a 9:16 aspect ratio. Great art thrives on friction. In 60 seconds, on a screen the size of your palm, creators face the most brutal structural constraints in the history of the medium. Up top, a 220-minute feature film arc. Below, the 60-second micronarrative. A director gets 15 minutes to establish rules and dial in mood. But a vertical short barely has 10 frames. Creators must establish geography, stakes, and tone within 3 seconds or the viewer is gone. To survive that filter, creators drop the audience directly into the middle of an action sequence or an emotional breakdown. They use textural audio, the crunch of gravel, or a sharply drawn breath to instantly ground the viewer. That aggressive opening hook is more than a retention trick. It is a highly evolved storytelling mechanism that entirely bypasses traditional exposition. But the ticking clock is only half the battle. The physical shape of the screen itself enforces a massive shift in scene construction. This grid shows a traditional 16:9 ratio, giving directors room for sweeping vistas. In vertical video, the periphery is amputated. The lens prioritizes whatever sits dead center, trading the background for an overwhelming focus on micro-expressions. This spatial confinement traps the subject inside a tight, claustrophobic box. When a character looks near the lens in a 9:16 frame, the lack of surrounding environment creates an uncomfortable direct-to-camera psychological intimacy. Vertical framing strips away cinematic spectacle, leaving behind a raw vulnerability that a distanced widescreen shot cannot easily replicate. Then there is the final structural constraint, the platform's auto-replay mechanism. When a video ends, it immediately starts over. Low-tier content treats this as a technical loophole. Creators cut a sentence in half at the end so it matches the beginning, tricking you into watching the clip twice just to inflate view counts. Masterful filmmakers treat the loop as a structural tool. They write the narrative so that the resolution at the end of the 60 seconds seamlessly bleeds back into the tension of the opening shot. As a viewer, you watch a character arrive at a tragic realization, and a split second later, you see them back at the beginning, ignorant of what is to come. It creates a sensation of being trapped in a closed emotional system. That perfect loop acts as a forced cinematic echo. It physically manufactures the exact lasting resonance that defines great art, despite the short runtime. Traditional formats are currently struggling to hold attention, while high-art micro-content is quietly racking up millions of views on mobile devices. The industry often assumes these clips are just stepping stones, a way for young directors to build a portfolio until they can make a real feature-length film. But short-form video has become an independent cinematic discipline. It has its own bespoke grammar, its own pacing rules, and its own criteria for success. As professional-grade tools become accessible to everyone, the technical barriers have evaporated. This shift forces a total reevaluation of our cinematic criteria, prioritizing raw emotional resonance over the scale of the production. Which brings us back to the device you are probably holding right now. Emotional power does not scale with budget, massive camera rigs, or long runtimes. It scales with a mastery over constraint. The next time you open a feed, pause for a second before you swipe. Stop consuming the stream passively and start analyzing how these micro-narratives are built. The 60-second video waiting in your feed represents the most concentrated form of modern visual storytelling. It is an act of deliberate craftsmanship, and it is demanding to be felt.